Hello, people. Let's talk Tottenham because something deeper is at play here. The relationship between Ange and the fans, the relationship between the fans and the club are at a really weird crossroads at the moment. And it's something that Tottenham fans, only you will know and understand. I will do less so. I was going to do this video and I was going to go, Spurs fans, can you just chill a bit? But then I've just done the Patreon podcast that I do with Flav, which you can enjoy in its entirety every single week. We've done about 170 now. I'll put a link in the description for that. But we spoke about it, and poor Flav was like, he revealed something to me that I wasn't expecting. But I want to give you context. Context is crucial here, and that's kind of what this channel is going to be about. This is the More James Allcott channel. If you are new, then do subscribe. This is a place where I can kind of give you like my raw reaction and thoughts, so I can hopefully kind of speak to you and you can speak to me and I can learn more and we can all have a nice dialogue there. So subscribe to this channel if you want to see more of that. Also, check us out on @JLA_FC for lots of bits on this, but also we do some really good Twitter spaces. So if you want to be heard a little bit more and be part of those conversations, then that's an opportunity hopefully for you guys to get involved, and again for this community to speak to each other. That's what this channel's about for me as well. So why are Spurs fans so angry? That's the starting point here, because obviously the game against Bournemouth yesterday, the first thing to say is obviously Bournemouth were the better team. And I do think, and I'm going to use this word and you're not going to like it, I think there is an element of understandable snobbery at Bournemouth. And if you lose to Bournemouth, I think the manner of which that they lost is something that is not really acceptable for Spurs. And when you look, we're going to come to this in a minute, which is so fascinating. And I think there's a decision that you have to make as a fan when it comes to stuff on the pitch. And when it comes to these kind of results. Because overall, again, when we're talking about context, actually at the moment, Tottenham are, yes, they're in 10th, but they're 6 points off 4th. I think, 8 points off the top 3. I think you would have wanted to be maybe that a little bit closer than that. But again, the other side of it is the fact that last season you were on 27 points. So that is obviously a disappointing one. And again, we come back to the results, and the results are really, really weird, aren't they? Really, really weird. And so one question for you to start off with is, on the pitch, what do you think is the big problem here? I think there's two really glaring ones. But to the Bournemouth game, this is a Bournemouth team that has beaten Arsenal at home. It's beaten Man City. They are a really good team. And I think that first goal, Postecoglou said himself, I thought it's a good point, is that when you don't score the first goal, it makes life tricky. And especially against Bournemouth, because then they can play the way they want to play. As I said, in terms of the stats, first of all, the XG from Bournemouth, 3.66. That is huge. That shows how world-class Iriola is and how functional Bournemouth are and how exciting they are. And they play at pace and they play in a different way. And the way they're able to sort of catch out the opposition with their press. We've got a whole video on my main channel tactically looking at that. Go check that out to learn more about that. But as you can see, from the possession, 34.5 to 65.5. But then the XG, 3.66 to 0.64. And that is one area where Spurs, over the last sort of run of games, are conceding not just too much XG, but more XG than they're creating themselves. And that, when you have 65% possession, is going to be something that's going to slowly annoy you. Because initially there's an ability of we're dominating games, whereas under Conte we weren't doing that. But then from there, you've created a platform, go and be better than the opposition. And in terms of shots on target, it's clearly not there. And I think the two things are important here. For me, this is on the pitch. And as I said, there's something deeper at play. I'm going to show you what Flav has to say about it. I think both words start with I. One is injuries, right? Let's look at the injuries, because it is an excuse. It is an excuse for all teams up and down the country. If you have enough of them and they are your first team squad, that is a problem. And then you add into the pot the fact that the way Spurs play, I think in terms of the depth they've got right now, having 8 out, which is the second highest in the league, can we just take a second to feel for Southampton a little bit? 13 players out. But then when you look at the players that are out as well, they're important players. It's your first team goalkeeper, although Fraser Forster was brilliant last night. Richarlison would just be helpful, right? In terms of the run of games that you've played, and some of these are disappointing European results, it's because you're using the whole squad. And so if you're at bare bones, that's going to be a bit of a problem. Obviously, it's the way that you're playing as well is going to be another thing, which we'll touch on. But Bentancur, obviously suspended, could do without that. Mickey van der Ven, crucial. Romero, that's your centre-back partnership. And then when you switch in Dragusin and Ben Davies, although you've been able to go and beat Man City with that pair, the problem is that at some point you're going to get kind of caught out from that. Not having that depth and that defensive depth. Those centre-backs are so important. And if you look at the rivals Arsenal, in terms of the building of that squad as time goes on, it's about contingency plan after contingency plan and the ability to be bulletproof. One thing I saw that everyone's talking about is set pieces. I think Jamie O'Hara went on this rant about I'm sick of teams scoring set pieces against them. I think when you've got the ball all the time, then when some of the sort of opportunities that the opposition are getting, they just feel so much more glaring when it is a set piece, or there was a chance that, well, it was scored, but it was disallowed when you're playing out from the back. That is something that just feels so stupid logically in terms of what a lot of football fans understand the game at. But of course, it is a philosophy for teams, and it's a philosophy that Ange has been very clear on now, that he wants to play out from the back. But have a look at this. In terms of goals from set pieces, this is on the analyst.com via Opta, they've conceded 4. So it's not like they're way out in front in terms of conceding from set pieces. Look, the set piece yesterday is embarrassing. And maybe it's those high-profile ones. It's obviously in a defeat today. If you think of the goals against Arsenal, though everyone struggles against Arsenal when it comes to those set pieces, and maybe the defending can be better at times. Dragusin looked a bit lost from that set piece. So the critique is fine. What I'm struggling with is the severity of it. Let's go back to these fixtures, because this is crazy. And the problem I have, so the second one, I think injuries is one, and that's fine. Because when you lose that injuries and you've got such a clear philosophy, if you have players that don't have the right profile, you're in trouble. You're going to kind of give up chances that you don't want to give up because you've committed so much to that belief of how you want to play. And so the second one for me is intensity. And I think there's a problem here in the fact that when we talk about that intensity, get a different colour. Let's have a little red one. Here's the question for you guys. Obviously, this is an intensity issue, I think, both on the ball and off the ball. This is an intensity issue, but what I would also say is that's a very intense team, and that's a very intense team. The Crystal Palace one before, that's obviously very disappointing, and you expect a bit better from that one as well. So, but that kind of one of those days, and I think again it would be a lack of intensity is where you're getting kind of frustrated. But the other thing that everyone's talking about, and it's true, is that in terms of the high ceiling, that victory against Man United and this bad boy here, 4-0 away from home, that is a high ceiling, a high watermark. And yes, Man City are not the Man City we know. I think the Roma game, you're unfortunate as well, just to be fair. But it's sort of the highs and lows that I think Tottenham fans are dealing with. I'm struggling with the severity of the anger when you're seeing the no clue, whatever it is. And so what's the root of that? This is where I want to kind of bring in the discussion with Flav. But one question before we go to that is the fact that what's more important here, these two? Or what's more important, these two? Which two do you want to discount? Or, special answer number 3, is the truth actually somewhere in between? I would say actually I think the two exciting results here in terms of Tottenham Tottenham Villa and Man City, Tottenham. I think you have to, if you want to reach heights, yes, you want to get there consistently, but there's going to be good days and bad days. And in terms of getting a PB in anything, first of all, you kind of have that moment, but then you drop back down. But you have the ability to get to that level. The next challenge is to stay at that level consistently, and that will take a minute. But as I say, Tottenham fans are really annoyed. So why are they annoyed, and why is there such a lack of patience? I'll let Flav take it from here, because I thought it was really, really interesting. And what I want you to do is take in what he's saying and tell me how you feel in terms of the difficulty between getting bigger as a club, but also sometimes feeling like a bit of a customer. Here you go.
They should have beaten us 5. They could have had 5. 10 days ago, we were going to the Etihad and smashing Man City, literally tearing them a new one. And I'm tired.
Yeah,
James.
long day.
I'm tired. And you know what have we got to look forward to the weekend? Rampant Chelsea come to town. Their cup final. Can't wait for that. That's going to be great. That is Sunday. Can you wait for that, James? Can you wait for that? Yeah, you will like it. You're a neutral. You'll enjoy every game Tottenham is. Everyone likes watching Spurs play.
Yeah, that's true. Fun, aren't they? They're fun. I'm a bit taken aback by the reaction. Is that because there's so many games? Is it because the game on the horizon is Chelsea?
You mean the after the game and stuff like that?
It's the extent of the reaction to a defeat against a Bournemouth team that's good.
They're really good.
That's what I'm confused by. So
we talked a lot about this on the pod, and we came to the conclusion that it's something tangible, and it's something that a lot of fans share, and it's much more than just one result, isn't it? And really, the anger isn't at Ange Postecoglou, I don't think. The anger's at 20 years of not winning, despite supposedly being a big club.
Big and good,
and it's supposed to be good, right? We're supposed to, the season tickets prices are good for you, aren't they? That we pay those, very expensive. I go to Tottenham. I use my friend Ricky as a really good example of this. Is that him going to Spurs is his relationship with his old man, his father. And it gives him the opportunity to share something, as yours is with your dad. You share QPR. You're father and son, but you share QPR, and it's massively important to you. And it probably makes up half of the subject matter that you talk about. Same with my dad. We share the football club, right? Ricky can't not go to the football with his dad. He has to go because that's their relationship. If they lose that, they lose the physicality of it. They lose the time they spent to each other. And the club will put the prices up next year and they'll pay it again and again and again. And it gets to a point where the sentiment, the relationship between the club, who treat you like a consumer and a client reference number, I've mentioned this a few times, they continue to ask for more to the point where the relationship breaks down. And then it's like, at this moment, it's like, okay, fine. We'll come to the stadium. We'll drink all the beer. We'll eat all the naan and noodles. We'll pay your ticket prices, but you've got to do your bit now, and that's win, because we're paying the same prices that the winners pay, more than Manchester United fans are paying, Man City fans are paying, the same as Arsenal's, and we're shit. So that's, I think, where some of the anger comes from.
Good. Okay, that was good. That was more than a minute. Well done. Okay, right. It's a long week. It's the end of a week, and it's been a long day for Flav. So
it's not the end. It ain't the end. I've got to do a preview tomorrow about the Chelsea game, and then I've got to do another podcast.
You do with Rory?
I did it with Rory today. Rory messaged me, went, Flav, would you have 10 minutes for me? And I'm like, yeah, go on then, Rory. You're a mate. I've got 10 minutes for you.
Huge mistake. Yeah. Yeah. It's the volatility of it is interesting, and I do think, obviously, well, you know more than me, that status of the sort of the money element of it. I saw Dan's tweet. I thought that was really interesting. The sort of, if you keep cheating someone like a customer, they're going to expect a service.
Product. Yeah. It's true. That's what it is. And I'll tell you what, mate. And I know that's why I was so moved when I went to the QPR game. Moved to tears or emotional. It reminded me, fuck, this is what football's like. This is what football's supposed to be like. Because what we experience ain't that anymore. It's not. It's you're just a fucking cattle that get wheeled in and go, come on, pay these prices. Whereas those lads at QPR on that left-hand side, it's their club. It's their club. It's your club. The people you spend your time, you might be shit, right? You might be bottom of the league and things might not be going well for you. But you have a club and it means something and it's important that you're there.
Yeah.
No one knows that we're in that stadium. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, no, I do.
We
You
could
don't
be
feel like you have you're having any impact, and it feels
it's so big.
yeah.
The club's so massive that you just get swallowed up. And
Yeah.
you
And
look
they're all
at,
like pop stars, aren't they? All the players are like, and it's not their fault. They're like, but they're these just huge mega stars. So like, I was thinking there, like in terms of us, like, well, like our season tickets went up after at the start of last season, knowing Gareth Ainsworth was going to play horrific football. Because I think deep down we were like, lads need us. I think deep down that's what happened. Like for us to have more people come because they're like, lads need us. Whereas I don't. It's tipped over here into something else. It sounds like, where it's like, well, hang on, you're showing me no. There's no. It doesn't feel like any connection or respect there. So fucking win.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that isn't the way football works. You can't win all the time. There can only be one winner at the end of the season. So the likelihood is you're not going to win. But the problem is you're treating us like it's not like we're treated badly. We're just asked to hand over so much money. And I'm not like this is someone who's I've taken a step back from match day because of where I live and stuff. But it's expensive. It's super expensive, and you just feel like the stadium is incredible, but it's massive, and when you walk in there, you're not sure if someone is just come for a day out or they're following particular players and no real interest in the football club. And there's like there was a big thing about how quiet Premier League grounds are, but in particular Tottenham, right? Fucking silent at times. Atmosphere is
Really.
yeah. I mean, the big games it's better, but it's quiet, right? And it never used to be like that, the old White Hart Lane, because it felt, I think, and I might be romanticising this, but you belonged to something, right? It was an old traditional stadium. It wasn't much to look at, but it was ours, and it was our sort. Even then, there was times when the atmosphere was poor, and then you look at what's going on at Dortmund, and whether you like ultra culture or not, it's noisy and they're passionate, and everything is about the match day experience and
playing your part.
And playing your part, yeah, and it's because the football club belongs to them. Like no matter what, all I see is Daniel Levy and Enoch going to be walking away with £4 billion eventually, and just I'm going to say the word, an insipid experience. Don't come up, Jim. It's not better.
Don't worry.